Hello, I'm Dana Cowley, and this is Charter Local Edition Northwest. We're in Kennewick today, and my guest is Franklin County Commissioner Brad Peck. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
You want to talk about some of the BiCounty programs and what that's doing to serve your constituents.
Well, BiCounty programs, just by their general nature, are a real opportunity for efficiency and cooperation. Now, there's on the plus side, there's that cooperation, that efficiency, but there's also a snag that comes into BiCounty programs that often gets overlooked. I think it's important for people to know. You know, if you have, say, Benton and Franklin counties, which historically have been good partners.
Yes.
One county is 70% of the population and pays 70% of the costs of the programs, and that's good. Benton Franklin arrangement, Franklin is 30% and pays 30% of the cost, and at that point it's all really good and really smooth. The snag comes in is when you have to remember that there are two independent, separate legislative bodies elected by two different populations. And so when it comes to the policy making and the decision making, it has to be a 50-50 vote. It can't be a 70-30 vote based on population or spending. Oh. That's a very important thing to remember.
There would be a rub there.
Well, there has been on occasion a little bit of a rub, but you know, hopefully everyone behaves professionally and works together, and we work through those things. But that's an important thing to remember that often gets overlooked. Nobody in Franklin County elected a Benton County commissioner, and nobody in Benton County ever elected a Franklin County commissioner. So
no, and the voters expect you to serve them.
Well, they expect us, myself and my fellow commissioners, to professionally and candidly stand up for the interests of Franklin County in these BiCounty programs, and we've done that, and
yes.
And the partnership is by no means broken.
No.
It's actually a good arrangement, and I think it's a very healthy tension when you have elected representatives from both sides serving their constituencies and finding a way to do that together where we can have improved efficiency.
It's a good thing to just let people be aware of.
It's, you know, you're always reluctant to speak to what the trouble side is, but that's one of the issues with local governance, is that it's so important to be honest and to be candid with people. When they hear about BiCounty programs, the assumption is, well, why can't we all just work together? And the answer is we can, and we should, and we will.
Well, and I think you all do that very well.
We do, so. Right. But this issue of two separate legislative bodies can never be set aside, because we will find ourselves in a position of people in one county who are not elected by the other making decisions for the other county. So 50-50 partnership, and we consume and share expenses based on what we use.
When it comes to Franklin County, all governments are dealing with the challenges of mental health issues and costs.
Yes.
And so what is the county doing now about those growing concerns?
Yeah, great issue for the times. No matter how you come at the mental health question, whether it's the way I come at it, which is a position of passion and concern, that we have people who are either homeless or have co-occurring disorders with mental health and with drug abuse issues. No matter how you come at this, the fact of the matter is, if you find people who are acting in what we might normally say is an aberrant way, and we don't have a system to provide treatment and services, they end up going to jail. So we end up spending public money and resources to, quote, deal with the issue, when in fact we're not really dealing with the issue. I think we're making it worse. If you've got someone who's got a co-occurring disorder, you know, mental health and drug issue at the same time on the street, the police oftentimes don't have an option other than to take them to jail. So what do? They bring them to the jail, they take away their medicine, they take away their clothing and give them a jumpsuit, so they take away their identity, and then they isolate them. Now, I'm not a mental health professional. I have one in the family. My son is. Huh? And I've talked and done a fair amount of research, and those are probably three of the worst things you can do to someone in that state. Oh. So instead of spending money to incarcerate these people, let's have programs where we can actually spend that money in a positive direction. So I've proposed in past years various ways to build, fund, and operate a triage center where the police could bring them in. They could be evaluated by competent professionals, and they could either be provided a safe place overnight till they can get treatment, or they're sent immediately to treatment, or in some cases, you know, they need to go to jail if it's not a mental health episode.
Well, and that was my next point, was our law enforcement officers are highly trained, but making those kind of judgment calls about who needs to go to jail and who needs to be in a mental facility, that's kind of tough to do when you're in a scrape with somebody right on the street.
We've gotten to the point where we are asking way too much, my opinion, of course, of our law enforcement. They just simply can't have every expertise on the planet when they're dealing with the public. So we've got to give them tools and options, and one of them is a consolidated crisis response center. It's always tough to ask the citizens to fund anything additional, and so one of my pushes as a county commissioner has been to say, let's go back and let's look at the state constitution, let's look at the statutes and really identify what our priorities of government are, what our obligations are, and then prioritize those. And if there are things on the bottom of that list that we can all agree are not as important as this mental health issue, then we need to change our spending priorities.
Well, yes, and reallocate.
Absolutely, and so that's been my focus more recently, but I've always felt that this was an important issue, and we've made progress on it, but there's still a lot of work to do, and that's really kind of one of the focus areas for me going forward right now.
Well, we're on the topic of money, and this will be my last question.
Okay.
What are we doing to help continue to promote the economy and create jobs?
Well, we recently, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, updated our economic development plan, and understand that the primary economic development agency in a county is going to be the port, believe it or not, and for us, Port of Pasco. So we have been working very diligently to strengthen our partnership with them. There are some funds that we get from the state that we are offering to share with them and with the cities in the county, recognizing that as county commissioners we've got a whole bunch of issues to deal with, so why not partner with people who have expertise in this?
Sure.
And let's get some economic development done. We've got kind of an imbalance between residential and commercial light industrial, and so we're trying to bring up the commercial light industrial because the tax base that generates will reduce the tax burden on residential on citizens.
Well, it's always nice to diversify.
It is. It's good for the economy.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Appreciate the opportunity.
This is your Franklin County Commissioner, Brad Peck. I'm Dana Cowley, and thanks for watching Charter Local Edition Northwest.